You're definitely not alone if you thought, maybe I can make a little bit of money out of this hobby, which I really enjoy. In this video, we're going to have a look at a couple of different ways of how to make a little bit of extra money with your Pokemon cards. And if I'm being honest, you don't have to start off with thousands. A lot of people seem to think that you need to have a lot of money to make that money, and yes, it does help, but you can just start off small and build it up every so often. So let's think about how we can make a little bit more money on the side if that's something that you're interested in. First thing though, I want to thank you for clicking on this video, and if you like this kind of video, please drop a like on this video, drop a comment, and please subscribe to the channel because we're doing a lot more stuff like this, these kind of investment kind of videos, if this is what people are interested in. Other stuff which are just maybe some opinion based videos, and other things which are probably just a little bit for fun, but always based around Pokemon and Pokemon cards. So first things first, you don't need to drop like $500 or £500 on like a vintage Charizard, or maybe you're looking at that Moonbreon and you're thinking, oh, if I can get that raw and get it graded, then it's probably going to be worth a lot more money. You can just start off a lot smaller, and if you're starting off a lot smaller and you're not really sure where to start, like, just pick something that you know, maybe a Pikachu card, or a cheaper Umbreon card, or a cheaper Charizard card, and it's a really good way of like learning the ropes of what you might need to do in the future. So if you start off small, something that you know, a lot less risk, and then you can build up, build it up, and build it up. Think about the cards and Pokemon that retain value. You've got those cards such as Charizard, Evolutions, Pikachu's as well, are all something that are really popular in the TCG. And if you like think about cards that have them on or feature them, they're really popular and they do tend to sell. Start off with cards which are maybe $20 to $50 or pounds, and see like maybe if you want to retain it for a little while, see how the market moves first, and then think about what you want to do with that card. You might just want to sell it on straight away, or you might want to do something else with it. You might want to sit on it for a while because that'll give you some time to think what you want to do and what might happen with that card in the future. Because sometimes people sit on these cards, they might have bought quite a few, and then that card like builds in value massively. A lot of the time it is inflated and it's done to manipulate the market, but if you catch it in the right time, you will have done quite well. Think about the Drowsy from Scarlet and Violet base set. It was like a $5 card, maybe a $10 card, and it boosted all the way up to a $70 card. Maybe when was it? February, March time, and then it just went straight back down to like a $25, $30 card. Next, try and understand the market a little bit more. Do your research, go onto websites which may help you think about what might happen in the market. So things like eBay, TCG Player, look at other sites that you may know of as well. That might help you see how cards have gone up, how cards have gone down, do a little wave. Think about cards that are driven by demand, timing, and then look at the value of that card. It isn't all just about the rarity of a specific card or Pokemon. Really focus on the cards that have a high difference in value between the raw card and the graded card. Think about for some cards, they have like a $10 raw price, and if they're graded a PSA 10, for example, they can be great. They can be priced at $150 plus, and that's a gap which may be where your potential profit is. If you can source those cards while they're cheap and while their raw value is lower, and then you're able to grade them, yes, you do have that price of grading depending on which service you go for. Some are more expensive than others. That card value can increase a lot, which can be very nice and very exciting, to be honest, when you get something really good. There's also timing to consider. Some cards, or cards that feature certain Pokemon, tend to spike in value at certain times of the year. Sometimes it is when they're featured in something like a TV show, a film, or most recently a game such as the TCG Pocket game. That increased, to be honest, just the value of absolutely every card. And we're starting to see the market trends go back down. So you need to learn to recognize when this might happen. Obviously, these things are hard to predict. So a lot of the time, I find it just better to, rather than really trying to predict the market, because you just don't know, like a lot of things, the markets are really hard to predict. Stay consistent with it. Use those cards that you know work well, those Pokemon that you know sell well, and just keep on going, keep plugging away, and it will get there. and you'll be able to build your portfolio over time. So grading to maximize profit is probably one of the better ways that you can go about this. Obviously, a lot of people have different opinions, but if you want to start off small, this may be a good way to go. So like I've already said before, a raw card might be $10, but then a graded highly card may be worth $100. That same card can inflate its price a lot just by getting it graded and it being good condition, which ends up with it being worth a lot more. Obviously depending on grading company, but we will look at that very soon. Other cards may be worth a lot raw as well. They may go up in price, but it's taking that risk of buying it at the raw value price first and then getting it graded. You do have to take grading costs and postage costs into account as well if you want to really keep track of where your profits are. So the first company I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to go through them quite quickly. I'm going to keep it short because some I probably know a little bit more about than others. And there probably are videos which explain a little bit more about each grading company. I just want to highlight them here in this video. The first one is PSA. They're probably the most well established, especially over in the US, but you do see a lot of PSA cards over here. They're the one that you probably want to use if you are trying to maximize value at the minute. Definitely if you're in the US, I would say. They're the ones that a lot of grading companies are trying to topple, really, and a lot of places such as Collector and other apps use PSA prices to determine the value of the card. PSA are not the only grading company in town these days. So within the UK, especially, Ace are becoming a much bigger thing run by Randolph and other partners who I do not know of. They're starting to build their brand around the design of their slabs. So there are different ways to get the A slab. You can get the basic slab, which is like black and white or something like that. Then you can get the color match, which will be the same design as the basic slab, but it matches the color to your card. And then you can get the Ace label. Now, just as an example of the Ace label, it carries on the art of the card onto the top of the label above. And for some cards, that, to be honest, looks really, really cool. And in the UK market, Ace is definitely on the rise. I'm starting to see a lot of UK collectors and sellers going for Ace over PSA instead. And from what I'm seeing, Ace is starting to move into the US, but I don't know how long it will take for them to become a major player over there, over the other grading companies that are there and flooding the market right now. So another exciting one is Tag. They have been around for a while. I think they've only really been doing Pokemon cards for maybe the last 3 or 4 years. They're an AI-based company. And what I really like about them is that they give you a full report of all the detail that has gone into grading your slab and why there may have been a problem. So they tell you exactly why your card got that grade. It tells you the rank of that card. It tells you how many of that card have been graded by Tag. And that's a really big winner for me with Tag. Really like them. And to be honest, I do like the look of the slabs. So they're really clear and really cool. It just looks really slick to me. To be honest, I can't fault Tag too much, apart from with me being in the UK, it just takes a while for the card to get back. I think it took about 3 months, which isn't too bad. They came back in time, so it was kind of what I was expecting. Maybe a couple of weeks later, but no major problems there. I expect it to be quite a while if it's coming from America. So the last 2 companies that I'm going to talk about, Beckett and CGC, I think their cards, when they're graded a 10, I think you can get you can get a gold label, or you can get a black label with black label with Beckett, gold label with CGC. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong. I've never used these, and I've not really been too interested in these because over where I live, they're not the biggest players, so they're not kind of the grading companies that I use. But I think when you do get one, a pristine 10, it can inflate the price tenfold, which is insane. But the risk of doing that is a lot harder. So with those 2 companies, be mindful of which cards that you do grade. I think for other TCGs such as Dragon Ball, I think they use Beckett. People use Beckett quite a lot. So also it just depends on the TCG that you use. If you do a different TCG to Pokemon, maybe they're the better company for you. So overall, just choose a grading company which suits you. So PSA if you're looking to maximize value at the moment. Ace if you're looking for something that looks really cool and trying to look for value, because I think the value of Ace Labs are rising at the minute. And Tag, to be honest, I think the value of them is quite good as well. And if you want like precision AI grading, that's something really good and something really to look into. So now we've talked about a couple of different things, we need to think about where we can actually find these cards. So the obvious choice for me is looking at eBay. You can get a breakdown of loads of different cards, and it's one of the biggest marketplaces for Pokemon cards at the minute. There are tons of listings. You can get them at a buy now price, or you can get them in an auction, which a lot of the time you do get them between 15 and 10% cheaper, depending on the card. Sometimes it can go higher. Quite a lot of the time it does go higher, to be fair. But just be really careful about that. If you are bidding on a card, really check how high you want to go. You may have just found it near the end of its auction, so you might not have that much time to research. So be really careful if you are buying at auction. And you can, a lot of the times, bid if you are trying to look at the buy now price. A lot of the times people will be reasonable. If it is a bit overvalued and you want to knock a couple of quid off, it's not too bad. People often do sell for those prices. Take your time, do your research, and look for your chance to maybe find like that undervalued gem card, which is really good and that you really want. Look for maybe auctions that are ending at odd times as well. This is where you can really maximize your value and your potential profit from buying a card which you may have sniped really cheaply, and then to be able to sell it on later on. But obviously that might just be an awkward time for you, so you may not be able to buy it, let's say 2 a.m, because you might have work the next day. You just got to be like mindful of what's realistic. I know there are a lot of groups on Facebook where people buy, sell, trade Pokemon cards. One place to do this is through Marketplace, where a lot of local people you may be able to buy off are selling their Pokemon cards. And on Facebook Marketplace, you may be able to buy, because it's a collection, you may be able to buy it between 70 and 80%. And then if you want to take the time to sell all these cards individually, that is a good way to maximize profit. And if you do find some really good, like quality, good condition cards, that might be like really good to get them ones graded. So you can really look through the set and think which cards are good enough to get graded and which cards can I move on a little bit quicker. Although it can take quite a while sometimes to upload cards onto eBay. Think about the time you want to invest in it. It is a good place to try and maximize value. Vinted is another place. You might want to be careful though, because a lot of the times when I've looked on Vinted, the prices tend to be a little bit higher than on marketplaces such as eBay, because I feel like when people are using Vinted, they may not know as much about the Pokemon cards. They may have just checked the price. Sometimes they've been left on there for like a couple of months and the price has gone down a lot. Just be careful and like double check on eBay or another marketplace to see how much that card is actually worth, because the people on Vinted may not have known, because it isn't like the top place to buy Pokemon cards, which is understandable. And the last place, especially if you are in the US, think about looking at TCG Player. It's a really good place for tracking values, how much cards have been sold for, how many cards have been sold at that specific time or that day. And even I use that, even though it's in dollars, it's still a good place to like track how much cards should be worth. Although the UK market is slightly different to the US market, we just don't really have a like viable TCG Player alternative. And if you're in Europe, there is like the card market, I think, is run out of Germany. I think it's trying to be a little bit like TCG Player. Check it out. I don't really know too much about it, but I have seen good things. But I've also seen other not so good things. It's meant to be quite good. Check it out, do your research, and see what you find. So what I'm trying to say is just turn that strategy into a bit of a system. Research the cards first. Find the cards which you like, which are popular and may have a big jump from the raw price to the graded price. Try and buy smart. Try and find those deals. Really do your research on a specific card that you want to buy. Try and find it in good quality condition, which you know will help you maximize the value of that card. And grade wisely. Choose the best cards in your collection for you. cards which you are sure will get the highest grades possible. Obviously, there will be those times when you think, oh, this card's like really, like, this card's like minty, and it just comes back an 8, and you're like, how? It just happens. Just try your best with the cards. That's all you can do, really. Now, most grading companies grade by 4 categories. They'll look at the centering. So look at the centering of your card. Is it that 50-50 border, like bottom to top, and 50-50 border left to right? Just make sure it's equal all the way around, and that'll help you the most. If it's not within that like 55 to 45 range, for most companies, probably it won't get a 10, regardless of whether the other categories are 10s as well. Centering will just knock it down a level straight away. So sell your cards, just look at the last solds maybe on eBay or card prices on TCG Player, and just try and make that margin of profit as good as you can. Just make sure the card is around that price. If you've got sellers or buyers which you already know, they will probably be willing to pay that 5 to 10% extra if it's a good card and they know that you're going to send it in good quality condition. And overall, it isn't rocket science. Just be consistent with it. You will get there in the end, and the profit will start coming in. Treat it like a little bit of a hobby, a little bit of side business, and you eventually will be successful. Treat it like most things in life. Always think about consistency. And it's not a lottery ticket. It's just not going to happen straight away. Think about if you're trying to lose weight in the gym. After your first gym session, you're not going to be where you want to be straight away, are you? It just takes time, consistency, and thinking about what you're actually doing. Just a few quick tips before we wrap up. Don't overpay for a card just because it's popular. Really think about what you're buying. Always check recent sold prices. Look at the condition really carefully. Look at the pictures. If it's only got one picture and it doesn't show you the back, probably just avoid that card. There's no point like clicking on it. It's probably not that good quality. Even though they may say in the description that it's mint, it's probably not. So just leave it alone. Start slow with grading as well. Just start finding your feet first before you dive straight in. And you know with kind of cards which sell and which cards will get graded highly. And if you do know that you're wanting to sell these cards, don't hoard them. Send them out into the wild. If it hits your target price, get them gone, get them sold, and then you can buy more cards to then be able to be sold on later on. So if you found this video helpful, please be sure to drop it a like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And what's your best flip so far? Which card have you bought raw, then sold on for a bit of profit later on? I'd like to see what other ideas people have come up with and what they've done, because I will respond to the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.